ready. Operation Decorator Storm.
3 drag queens, played by Patrick Swayze, Wesley Snipes, and John Leguizamo, transform a Midwestern town with their freewheeling attitudes in the new comedy with the wild name of Wong Foo. Thanks for everything, Julie Newmar. One of 5 new movies we'll be reviewing this week on Siskel and Ebert, along with new pictures starring Anthony Hopkins, Barbara Hershey, and also Gary Sinise from Forrest Gump as President Harry Truman. I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune.
I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times. Our first movie is To Wong Foo. Thanks for everything, Julie Newmar. And the first thing everybody will want to know about it is, how do Patrick Swayze, Wesley Snipes, and John Leguizamo look in drag? And the answer is, well, have a look for yourself. Swayze and Snipes have just won a New York City drag queen contest and taken pity on Leguizamo, who dreamed of winning the first prize, which was a trip to Hollywood. So they cashed in their air tickets to buy a convertible, and they're sharing a ride across country.
Ladies, please, I implore you, for your own safety, go with the Toyota Corolla.
Well, Pumpkins, it looks like it comes down to that age-old decision. Style or substance.
The car breaks down in a rural hamlet where they take a room at the local flea bag managed by Stockard Channing.
This is the presidential suite.
Must have been one of those bad presidents.
It's only for one night.
Excuse me. I'm just wondering.
No toilet.
You know what I think? The last black person to stay here was Sam Cooke.
At first, the locals take none too kindly to the newcomers, although somewhat incredibly, most of them don't seem to figure out that they're men in drag.
Oh, yes, for me.
No, this is mine. Oh, this is cringe, honey. I think I'm gonna black out.
The drag queens turn out to be exactly what this little town needs. For example, when it becomes obvious that the landlady's husband is into wife-beating, Swayze sachets into action.
So, Virgil, I gather you like hitting ladies.
Some ladies need to get hit.
Then, conversely, some men need to be hit back.
Now, right there you can see what's good about this movie, and that's the performances by Swayze, Snipes, and Leguizamo as drag queens. One of the keys to their success, I think, is that apart from a very brief opening sequence, we never see them out of drag, so we get used to them. And the movie plays it safe by staying so far away from the subject of explicit sex that it actually has a mild PG-13 rating. Well, you can tell from To Wong Foo, men become drag queens in order to go into family counseling. What's bad about the movie is an amateurish and awkward plot, a very badly written role for Chris Penn as the homophobic local sheriff, and the way that the escapist comedy about the drag queens never quite meshes with the pretty rough subplot about wife abuse. The 3 stars are so good they deserve a better movie, but I cannot recommend this one.
I can. I enjoyed it a whole lot, and I thought that the Chris Penn character is played for comic effect, and I thought that the wife abuse thing is just one of the many problems they had. I didn't think it was jarring at all. I think these guys are very entertaining in the role. In the beginning, my teeth were on edge because there's a whole attitude with drag queen performances that, you know, sort of, you will like it. Yeah. When I'm saying, you know, why should I? Show me. Well, they show me this time. It really worked for me. And I think that Patrick Swayze is particularly good. Absolutely convincing. He doesn't wink to the audience ever, and it wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't get an Oscar. It would surprise me if he doesn't get an Oscar nomination for this role. I think he's that good in this
Swayze is good. Leguizamo is good. I think he was playing Rosie Perez, as far as I could tell.
Yeah, very funny.
Snipes is good as a drag queen, but his dialogue is all this racially charged one-liner stuff. He isn't really given a way to mesh with the plot the way the other two
He's the least interesting of the 3 characters. I think there's a lot of entertainment value in the picture. I think you're underestimating its appeal. Okay, next movie, and it couldn't be more different than To Wong Foo. It's Magic in the Water, a children's fantasy about a Loch Ness-type monster that really does exist, but, of course, Dad doesn't believe it. Mark Harmon plays a divorced radio psychiatrist who takes his 2 children out on a summer vacation to British Columbia, to a small town where the locals have stimulated tourism by advertising a mammoth creature in the lake that they've named Orky.
All I want to know is if he's real or not.
What, honey?
That thing, Orky.
Probably some ancient Indian myth, you know, some aboriginal deity.
Space, the fun frontier.
On the first night of vacation, the young girl goes exploring. And now the film starts to go downhill. To visit Orky, the kids and a new friend commandeer a boat from polluters, and suddenly they're in trouble. Here's where Magic in the Water loses its magic and becomes routine melodrama.
Josh, what are we going to do?
Wait till he gets out, then we'll go to the police.
Magic in the Water is a terrific idea for a children's fantasy. I just wish the screenplay had been written a little smarter, that the townspeople had been portrayed as more clever. In other words, write the story so that adults could have enjoyed it. And I think kids would have enjoyed it more. I'm thinking of what this picture could have been like in the hands of, say, a director like Bill Forsyth with his film Local Hero, and we would have wound up with something, I think, truly magical.
I'm pretty much in agreement with you here. It's kind of a low-rent Free Willy. The trick that I wanted to explain to me was how Orky, who doesn't have any hands and lives in the water, gets the insides out of Oreo cookies, puts them back together, and puts them back on the dock without getting the cookies wet. That is a clever monster.
Well, he must have a very good breath because he obviously blow-dries them, I think.
When we come back, Campbell Scott learns the art of spying from Anthony Hopkins in The Innocent.
What are we going to tell our superiors, Leonard? That you liked her a whole lot?
Are we going to dance?
Actually, would you mind awfully if I sat down?
Campbell Scott plays a babe in the woods in The Innocent, a movie set at the height of the Cold War in Berlin. And in that scene, he's picked up in a nightclub by the beautiful Isabella Rossellini and never stops to ask why she would single him out. That's despite the fact that his day job is working for a covert operation to bug top-secret Soviet telephone lines.
Listen, this is highly sensitive material. I want this search called off.
His personal and private lives seem far apart, however, as the love affair heats up.
Come on, take off your clothes.
You're evil.
Co-starring in the movie is Anthony Hopkins as the American spy master who's in charge of Scott. Later in the film, a dead body inconveniently clutters up the plot, and Rossellini enlists Hopkins' help to get rid of it.
You're asking me to become an accessory to crimes they don't even have names for.
Pop.
He's good for 15 years, Maria. Is that it? I stay here, carry the can, while you two just float away.
No.
Sunset. Is that it?
And the whole business of disposing of that body creates some very strange black humor that reminded me a little of Hitchcock's The Trouble with Harry as Campbell Scott walks around Berlin with the dead body parts in 2 heavy suitcases.
That was hard to take.
Okay, there are a lot of logical holes in The Innocent, but they didn't bother me much because the movie isn't really about logic anyway. It's about a young British citizen whose common sense is blinded by lust, and about 2 more experienced older people who have been through a long and very painful war and become hard and cynical in the process. Like The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, The Innocent is a movie about the way the Cold War wasn't nearly as easy to figure out as The Hot One, and I liked it.
Boy, The Spy Who Came In From the Cold is a wonderful picture. I don't think this is anywhere in the same league. I think the logical holes really were very frustrating and annoying to me. The stuff with the suitcases didn't make me laugh. That made me say, come on, this is absurd. I mean,
well, it wasn't supposed to make you laugh.
No,
the
well,
guy is very desperate.
You called it black humor,
yeah, well,
and
you're
it
not
wasn't
supposed to laugh
humor.
at black humor.
Oh, you're supposed to smile a little bit? It didn't make me smile. I thought it was a flawed picture. And I thought there were a lot of them, and I think it really frustrated me. The part that I do like about the film is, frankly, the relationship, which we get late, between Anthony Hopkins and Isabella Rossellini.
That's interesting, yeah.
That is the interesting thing. These are 2 fine actors.
What about the intriguing nature of the relationship between Rossellini and Campbell Scott, since he doesn't really know?
He bored me from the beginning, and I think that, again, if he is written a little brighter, a little more challenging, then you got a battle of wits. It's witless against a couple of wits.
Okay, coming up next, a hidden tribe of Indians is discovered out west. Tom Berenger and Barbara Hershey star in Last of the Dogmen.
There were Indians in the Oxbow. Don't you think someone would have seen them by now?
Not necessarily.
You are in that case.
Barbara Hershey and Tom Berenger debate the existence of a hidden tribe of Indians in The Last of the Dogmen, a film with a lot of awkward dialogue that manages to survive on the strength of its sincerity and natural beauty. In this scene, for example, a Montana tracker played by Tom Berenger and an anthropology professor played by Barbara Hershey find themselves together on a trip into the wilderness where Berenger has spotted a group of Cheyenne Indians who have been living in their authentic traditional ways undiscovered for more than a century. focus on the dialogue, you should be able to complete each of the actors' sentences.
What about you? Ever been married?
Only to my work. Don't get me wrong. There have been plenty of men. Some worked out and some didn't. You just always had to be on my terms.
Lady, if I was born a century too late, you were definitely born a century too early.
Ouch. But the film begins to work its magic when they finally do meet the Indians. Barbara Hershey is particularly stunned because these Indians are her anthropological studies come to life. Again, however, the dialogue is awkward.
Yeah, don't shiv him.
Napiev hotnim. Sita hedan. Ya hadan ma.
What are you telling him?
I told him we come in a good way, in peace. I also told him you were a great warrior who wasn't afraid to fight them all single-handedly.
You gotta be kidding.
But there are some good moments with the Indians who live in this very special place.
A wolf appeared and led them to this valley. The wolf spoke, telling them to remain here, hidden from the white man.
Naturally, there are bad guys and they're white, and it's the law, the local sheriff, who has a grudge against Tom Berenger, who wants to keep the Indians' mountain location secret. I think I know exactly why I hung in there with Last of the Dogmen. I wanted its story to be true. I wanted to believe the Indians were up there. That's why I suffered through a silly rock slide, remember at the beginning of the picture, a nightmare dream sequence that really frustrated me, and lots of bad dialogue. Because I could imagine this story being true, and I could feel the same emotions that Barbara Hershey experiences. I think I'll take my children to Last of the Dogmen and close my ears for most of the second viewing. It's not a ringing endorsement, but thumbs up from me.
Yeah, you know, I feel the same way. Boy, this is one where you give it thumbs up and then you want to say naughty thumb. Because there are a lot of things that are wrong with this picture. One of them is when the Indians finally appear, you don't get the sense of awe that you had, for example, in Dances with Wolves, where you really feel the nobility of those Indians out there.
Well, they have more time.
They appear, and immediately they're engaged in the plot, having to do with penicillin and sheriffs and things like that. So it could have, it's a wonderful idea. The idea is really what we're approving of.
Absolutely.
The movie could have been better.
But it's a little bit more than the idea. There's just enough time there that we can fantasize and sort of fill in the blanks. Here's a picture that should have been longer. More time. They didn't know where the juice really was in this story. It was up in the mountains, and they think it was in the plot with Berenger and the sheriff.
And with the first wife and with the rapids and so forth. But listen, where did that Wilford Brimley narration come from? I think it was Brimley. It sounded like him.
Well,
he isn't credited.
Somebody
felt, well, let's hire Wilford or a Wilford sound-alike
in
order to punch it up by explaining everything.
They didn't need to do that
There's nothing that needs to be explained.
It's a good idea for a picture, and kids, I think, will like it.
Okay, when we come back, and that was a positive review from Gene and Roger. Yes, that's right. Okay. When we come back, Gary Sinise plays the man from Independence in the new biopic, Truman. Gary Sinise has been a good actor for a long time, but perhaps only with his performance as Lieutenant Dan in Forrest Gump did a lot of moviegoers really notice him. After a supporting role in Apollo 13 this summer, he's back in a major leading role as President Harry S. Truman in an engrossing new HBO movie named Truman. As the movie begins, Harry Truman has returned from service in World War I to become a low-level politician in Kansas City, which is run by the Pendergast machine. Truman is an honest man, which is something Boss Pendergast doesn't see very often.
I don't care if it's 10,000 or 10 million. Tom, I told you when I agreed to run, I wasn't going to stand for any monkey business.
You will stand for what I tell you.
No, sir. I don't work for you. I work for the people of this county.
You keep believing that, you'll be back selling church going broke.
Don't you threaten me. I'll go to the damn poorhouse if I have to.
And that's Pat Hingle as the boss there. Truman ends up running for the Senate and winning, but in Washington he's known as the senator from Pendergast until he makes it clear to Franklin Roosevelt that he's his own man.
Tell the president that I'm not going to be pushed around like an office boy. I expect the consideration and courtesy the office of a senator is entitled to. Tell him if he wants to discuss my vote to call me not Tom Pendergast.
Roosevelt, of course, makes him his running mate in 1944, and not long after, the former haberdasher from Missouri finds himself president of the United States.
I don't know if any of you ever had a load of hay fall on you, but right now I feel like the moon, the stars, and all the planets have fallen on me.
Truman's most difficult decision, the one he will always be remembered for, was to drop atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
If I don't drop the bomb, so many more of our young men will die in the invasion of Japan. They're men too, and women and children. How could I face the people when it's finally over and say that I had the power to possibly end the war long ago? Spare the lives of their loved ones, and I chose not to use it.
Truman is a meat and potatoes kind of movie. There are no deep psychological insights, no startling revelations, and not even much curiosity about Bess Truman, who seems to have considered being First Lady to be a real pain in the neck. But in Sinise's performance, there's real drama and dignity, and the movie also manages to pack in a lot of recent American history. I found it fascinating.
I thought it was a little more substantial than you're saying here, except that you're saying a lot of events about American history. For example, I did not know, and in the movie, and it's based on David McCullough's much-praised book, biography of Truman, that Truman, during hearings during the war, held the arm manufacturers to their feet to the fire, and that's where he suddenly leapt into prominence. And so the film spends enough time with that. In other words, I know that Harry Truman, and sometimes in these one-man shows that are done on famous figures, you just get the highlights and the quips and the epigrams. Here you see that there was a real person in charge, a real executive, and this is not just some sloganeering cute guy from Missouri.
The Truman Commission is really why he was picked as vice president. And as one general tells him, Senator Truman, your commission is worth 2 divisions to me.
Coming up next, our video pick of the week, which features nothing less than one of the finest performances on film I've ever seen.
Siskel and Ebert's Video Pick of the Week, brought to you by Orville Redenbacher's Gourmet Popping Corn, the best part of the movies.
My video pick of the week is Ladybird, Ladybird, and it had a short run in a few theaters last year. Both Roger and I went nuts for it, and particularly for its lead performance by first-time actress Chrissy Rock, a British barmaid and stand-up comic who stars in the story of an irresponsible mother who comes into furious conflict with authorities after she leaves her children untended while going to the local pub. There's a fire in her apartment, the kids are burned, and the state takes them away.
I know what you're feeling.
You don't know what I'm feeling.
I do. I'm a mother too.
Yeah, you might be a mother too, but you're not my son's mother. And let me tell you something else. I know your little games, all your little twists, block mummy out, but it won't work, mate, because he's my son. You're not keeping him. He's not yours. He's not yours. He's my son.
But she wants to be a mother in the worst way, so she gets pregnant, this time by the first man in her life who doesn't abuse her. And again, the state acts.
Please,
Maggie,
please, just wait till the time comes in, please.
Maggie,
no, you can't. Please, you made a mistake. You can't do this again to me. Please, no.
Come on, Maggie, please.
You can't do this again to me.
You can come.
Again, she gets pregnant, and again, the state acts. Ladybird, Ladybird couldn't be more involving. At first, you're angry at her. Then you're angry at the authorities. And all the while, you're totally engrossed in a film that offers no easy answers. Ladybird, Ladybird, with Chrissy Rock's great performance. It's now out on video for the first time. There's no excuse to miss it. It's my video pick of the week. Now let's recap the movies we reviewed on this show. A split vote on the comedy to Wong Foo, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar. I thought it was thoroughly winning, and Patrick Swayze was especially good, but Roger felt that the 3 stars deserved a better movie. 2 thumbs down for Magic in the Water, the Loch Ness-type monster movie, a cute premise that unfortunately becomes routine melodrama. A split vote on The Innocent, the British-American Cold War spy picture with Anthony Hopkins and Isabella Rossellini. I found it terribly overwrought and full of holes. Roger liked the plot twists, and he recommends it. 2 thumbs up for the Hidden Indian story, Last of the Dogmen. We look past the awkward dialogue. We look past the awkward narration to the essential magic of this story. 2 thumbs up. And 2 thumbs up for Truman, with a fine, restrained performance by Gary Sinise as the once underestimated president of the United States. So, Truman, I think Wong Foo is a lot more entertaining than you're giving it credit for.
I love the performances. And Gene, congratulations. This is the beginning of our 20th season on the air.
Fantastic.
Okay. That's it for this week. Next week, we'll be back with reviews of more new movies, including Unstrung Heroes, starring Andie MacDowell as a mother who trusts her son to two very eccentric uncles, and Spike Lee's new film, Clockers, starring Harvey Keitel as a detective who gets involved in a messy drug investigation. That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.